Good evening, everybody. Where's Danny? First, I want to thank Danny Cohn, Joy Shevin, David Romanoff, Lisa Engel for their incredible leadership, and to Doug Wilker, the American Jewish Committee. This institution was founded in 1906 in order to be here for moments like this. So it's arguably one of the most important nonprofits established by German Jews for this reason. For the past month, it's been absolutely brutal and painful for the Jewish people. As I said last month, Jew hatred has been up 500% here in the Republic, and Jew hatred has been up almost around 500% in the UK. As Dub said, there's been attacks against Jews in every major city where there are Jews. Jew hatred is reflected on mainstream media outlets from elected officials without any consequences whatsoever. And I'm obligated to say this, is that Jew-hating attacks continue to happen. On Monday night, a man was arrested in Brooklyn for attempting to stab Jews. You probably didn't hear that on the news. And yesterday, Jewish employees at Stanford University filed a complaint with the Office of EOC because of persistent, nonstop Jewish hatred against Jewish employees. And more than likely, you won't find any reporting that Hamas continues to attack Israel, but this time, back to an old trick, they're sending incendiary balloons into Israel, into southern Israel. First, to kill kids because kids are attracted to balloons, and second, they want to scorch the earth of Israel, something they claim that is theirs. No outrage yet from the UN, the EU, or any conservation group, because attacking Jews is not only the oldest form of hate 2,500 years ago, but for some reason, it is still okay. So the main questions that I've received the past month that I've been speaking about this on Shabbatons: how did we in this country get to this point of extreme Jew hatred? The second question is, how to respond to the silence from our once believed allies in this fight? And what is a tangible prescription for us to succeed and win this war? So the first question, how do we get to this moment? See, it's always been here. Jewish people in this country have been the number one group of victims of hate crimes, according to the FBI. But it's been our silence and apathy that has allowed this. And as Yom Kippur is just a few months away, this is something that we're required to seek teshuvah about. How many Jews in this country took to the streets to demand justice for Joseph Newman, who was murdered in Muncie, New York? Again, his attacker will not face any charges. We attempted to protest the injustice of the murder against Sarah Halimi in Paris, but again, the news cycle and other personal endeavors and other causes, this has lost the story. And for years, the Jewish people in Europe have been attacked. Again, we ask ourselves, what have we done for Jews in Europe? It's been here for a while. So we're going to go back to 2015. Again, this was a pivotal moment that demanded action. A UCLA student named Rachel Bedia was nearly denied a position on student government because their board believed that because she was Jewish and ties to the Jewish community in Los Angeles, there were a conflict of interest. And the last time we really did this, when Napoleon had the great Sanhedrin for the Ashkenaz and Sephardic to ensure that French Jews could eat, French foods and be Frenchy. That's the last time we did this. But it happened at UCLA, and this should have been a red flag and a warning. But when I lived in California for all those years, parents were concerned about getting their student accepted into UCLA rather than this pivotal moment. Last year in August, a name most of us don't know, is Rose Rich. She resigned from University of Southern California student government because of nonstop Jew-hating harassment because of her support for Israel. This sparked local outrage in Los Angeles, but nothing truly at the national scene that it deserved. Something close to home, in 2018, University of Michigan professor John Chaney-Leopold, he declined to write a letter of recommendation for a Jewish student to study in Israel. His punishment was insignificant. He didn't get his annual merit raise just for his year, and he couldn't take sabbatical, and he still has tenure for denying a student to study in her unquestionable indigenous homeland. And this is where I hoped my fellow family and Jews in Michigan, and I know you're watching, this is where I wanted them to display their outrage against the University of Michigan. But once again, the product on the football field was more important. And I think you know where I'm going. And finally, part of this timeline of Jew hatred to this moment. In 2017, the Chicago Gay Pride Parade, they expelled the Star of David flag because they found this flag to be offensive. Again, this moment with our intersection partners should have been a red flag. And guess what? It happened 2 years ago in DC. But nothing from the Jewish community. The second issue, regarding the silence and indifference from so many of our allies. I truly can't pinpoint the diagnosis, but I feel it's a combination of pseudo-economics and illiberalism that once again places Jews in the total other category. We don't fit in the narrative of individuals that deserve justice. And I know for so many of us who have reached out, it's the silence and indifference. This is what hurts the most. As Elie Wiesel said, indifference is the sign of sickness, and sickness of the soul is more contagious than any other. So therefore, to stop this silence and indifference, it's truly up to us, the Jewish community, to make the noise. It's our responsibility to be loud, to be vocal, where we don't let up, and we continue to demand accountability. And after all, this was a Zionist ideal in Eastern Europe in the 19th century. For us to have our own destiny, we need to put things into our own hands. We need to call out any individual, any media outlet, and any official elected. If they are Jew haters, call them Jew haters. And if their bosses, those who hold higher positions, don't remove them from committee assignments, demand action. Texas just adopted the IHAR definition of anti-Semitism, becoming the first state in the union to do this. And tonight I'm asking Ed Fields in the mayor's office to become the first city in this union to adopt the working definition of anti-Semitism. But most importantly, be proud to be Jewish. It's not about movements. It's about love of Adonai, it's about love of Torah, it's about love of Israel. It's about continuing our affiliations for our synagogues here in Birmingham, and it's supporting our Jewish institutions. It's about celebrating Shabbat and showing acts of righteousness and loving kindness. It's about being a Zionist and loving Israel unconditionally. Israel is absolutely connected to our Jewish ethos and way of life. And quite frankly, I'm so tired of so many Jews saying, I have a complex relationship with Israel. I have a complex relationship with the Detroit Red Wings when they lose. Love her. Stop holding her to an illogical double standard that no other country in the world receives. And if you have this complex relationship with Israel, stop using the internet and making sure your medications and so many of life's joys didn't come from there. And finally, embolden the next generation of young Jews. Let them take the mantle. Give them the seat at the table. Seek new allies that will give us the assurance that they will be there for us and we don't have to make that first call. And finally, be courageous and support this Jewish community. As I told to my Temple Emanu-El family the past 4 Shabbatons, I will say this to the greater Jewish Birmingham community. I will never stop fighting for our people. This is a painful 2,500-year battle, but we have never given up. I want this Jewish community to evaluate my tenure, and I want them to say that I was a fighter for Am Yisrael and the state of Israel. As the book of Joshua charges us, Adonai hereby commands you, be strong and be courageous. Do not be frightened or dismayed. Adonai your God is with you wherever you go. No Goliath will ever stand in our way. I won't let it. We won't let it. We have to remember that all of us are the heirs of David. We won that battle and will continue to win. Be proud to be Jewish. Thank you so much.